Welcome to the third season of the Ashlars podcast. We are thrilled about our progress and, more importantly, grateful for your support and encouragement. We are going in strong with ever more energy and passion into the third season of our humble little initiative. That is, to show the true light of Freemasonry by being India's first and only podcast on Freemasonry. In this season, we continue to highlight papers by Indian Masons and showcase the wealth of Masonic knowledge and wisdom in India. Additionally, we will also shine some light on various other degrees beyond the craft, with a view to help Masons discover the true joy of being a Mason and expand their horizons. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely of the participants and do not represent any official positions, including those of any Grand Lords or constituents thereof. Best efforts have been made to keep the conversation on the level for brethren and non-Masons alike.
That is one of the reasons why the sword was at its right place, which was basically on this column. So they will do the work, and in case something happens, they stop the work, and then they have to take out the sword. Or rather, I would understand, obviously they're not doing it together at the same time or in a different manner. There are two different set of people who are actually doing it. There is maybe a set of, soldiers. There might be a set of workers. The workers are doing their work. The soldiers are doing their work. And even if a soldier can actually be a worker or a worker can be a soldier, whatever it is, they understood, or rather they had that clear bifurcation. Right now I'm doing this, afterwards I'm doing this. So right-handed person will have this one. So that is why the sash, which technically is the place which is, should be one, in Irish is one from right to left, so that you can remove the sword from there. So any other companions, by the way, which I think we already explored that option as well. We do not call each other brother in this degree. It's called companion. So any other companion who always gets confused where to wear the sash. If you are in English, if you are in Indian, or if you are in this, right, always remember it is the other way around. It is the not so easy one. It is always ensuring that you are a left-handed person who are removing it from here. That's what you need to do.
I'll just add one aspect more from a military history kind of a thing, So during wartime, the military uniforms tend to change a little bit. I was reading this about, I think the German military or something, where during peacetime, the top brass, their elaborate hats that they wear, they used to have a lot of exotic bird feathers, during peacetime. But during wartime, it would usually change to a helmet with a spike, on top of it. You might have seen that in World War I. If you see a lot of German soldiers have that, even I think Wilhelm was his name, even he had that kind of a helmet. So it tends to sort of change accordingly. Anyway, so now moving to another aspect.
Sorry, Shishir, I just completely forgot. I kind of spoke about this. I think in our chapter as well, we spoke about who the main officers were, the three principles we used to. So Zerubbabel and all that stuff was there. But what exactly is it happening here? So let me just cover that one. I kind of missed that out. So as I said, the legend was about not rebuilding the temple, but was about renovating the first temple, and it was under the king Josiah, as I mentioned. Now the legend works under this, obviously, the passing the veils and Royal Arch and Mark Masonry. The three presiding officers of a Royal Arch chapter in Ireland are called the Excellent King, High Priest, and Chief Scribe. It is not called first, second, and third principle as it is done in England. It is Excellent King, High Priest, and Chief Scribe. The sojourners and scribes were replaced by the Royal Arch captain. So they have the captain for each of the veil. Okay, I don't want to even tell you about what color and all, because each of that color veil has a significance to it. Okay, it is not ideally mentioned in the ritual itself, in the working of Holy Royal Arch chapter, but the three principles are actually King Josiah, obviously because it was his time, hence he was the excellent king. Then the high priest was High Priest Hilkiah, and the chief scribe was the scribe Shaphan. So these are the three main characters. These are the three main folks who are actually there. more or less what should I say, the way of recognizing each other might be here and there, some variations of it, but overall, it is very, very interesting one to be knowing about. If you have read your Bible, if you've read the story of from it, you will understand what exactly happens, how it is actually taken care of. But excellent king, high priest, and chief scribe, not first, second, third. First, second, third sounds very simple, but excellent king, high priest, and chief scribe are the three main officers, presiding officers of a royal art chapter in Ireland.
All right. So coming to the point I was about to make earlier. I'll just add a little more to this. So the Royal Art chapter is the key to all the higher or maybe other degrees that Ireland has to offer. In Ireland, there are two side degrees above the Royal Arch: the Grand Council of Knights Masons and
Yes.
Great Priory of Ireland. The Grand Council of Knight Masons tells the story of the end of the Babylonian captivity and the rebuilding of the temple, which until 1924, these degrees were under the control of Grand Priory when the Grand Council was formed. Above these degrees is the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree of the ancient and accepted rite, and membership is strictly through invitation.
Yes, yes, yes. Exactly. So this kind of, see, you remember that point which you just mentioned, right? That the Council of Knight Masons talks about the end of the Babylonian captivity and rebuilding of the temple.
Yeah.
That, by the way, is a very important point. You know why? Because it it kind of explains you how did those sojourners, which we were talking about the story, they come to rebuild the temple. How exactly did they come? So they kind of add that, as I said, my favorite word for this will be the masala in there. Okay, the dishum thing which will be there, because if you read it properly, if you have read it right, it actually talks about the end of the Babylonian captivity, the specific past which happens. This is actually what we covered in the three pointers, the three stages, the three periods of Irish Freemasonry, which I was talking about, right? It actually brings over there the Jordanian past, the sword of the night, and the sword of the east, and the sword of the west. There is a lot. Viewers, please stay on. Please continue being with us. You will get to learn and understand about. Okay, I won't say learn because learning is up to you, but you will definitely get to hear it from us on how all these orders are there. And that's, by the way, where the idea, or rather, where the story comes together. As I said, if you look at the chronology, okay, and by the way, this chronology is not something which is written on stone, okay, it kind of changes because we want to kind of explain it in a different style. It's a movie, it's literally a movie. Some characters have been taken who might have existed. They are absolutely not coincidental. They are supposed to be those characters, but the story might not be the same. So you have the three stories, the three degrees, right? The chapter, the Master Mason happening, Hiram Abiff story and everything, and suddenly there is some loss. Oh, we don't know what's happening. And then suddenly chapter comes into focus. Now, but I think you do not need to be, what should I say, a PhD guy or somebody who's a rocket scientist to come up and ask that question. Oh, dude, what happened in the middle? And for that middle, these degrees actually have there, including how did I come there? Whatever I witnessed in my Holy Royal Art chapter at the end, how did that occur? That also has an order. That is an order which actually explains how does that come there. That's very important, very interesting. As I said, stories have been built. It's like Jurassic Park. You can't just say, oh, one is amazing, that should be enough. Or come up and say, oh, I've seen three, that is good. Watch all. It's a series. Enjoy it. You might not like it, but at least watch it to understand the chronology. That's more than enough. Don't come up and say in Jurassic Park 3, why is this guy standing? Who the hell is this guy? Dude, you forgot part two. So you can't actually come and ask me that question. Okay. Or rather Jurassic World as well, right? You can't just come up in the third part and say, who is this girl? Is she actually the daughter of the two main characters? No, dude, you should have watched the second part. You would have understood who that girl was. You can't come and ask that. You might not like it, but that is actually important. At least read a Wikipedia page of it. But yeah, please do remember what the second part is. So the point is, how does it come? There is an order for it. How do the sojourner travel to that point to meet King Zerubbabel? There is an order for it, which actually tells you that story, which actually gives you that concept. There is an order in which there is a discussion between the candidate and Cyrus. They are trying to talk to each other, kind of reminding each other, oh, please do this, help me with this, you told me this. Then suddenly you kind of understand that with whatever history or whatever things you have heard about, maybe, right, there is certain changes in that. King of Persia is actually allowing these guys to go back. Why did he allow them to go back? It's just a passing statement if you and I remember what we are going through. But why did he allow them to go back? These are the different things. And when you get that right, you can just write something about it. I remember, this one, The Chronicles of Narnia, the book. The first book which came was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, in which when the kids, right, Lucy and Lucy actually goes inside, sorry, Susan, Lucy, and everybody goes inside. The first time when Lucy goes in through the wardrobe and comes to the fable land of Narnia, she finds a light post. Okay, and when she talks to the okay, I just don't want to tell. If you have not read it, it's better you read the book because it's a beautiful book. But the point is, he just keeps one light post. I'm not sure why C.S. Lewis would have thought of keeping that light post, but he said from light post all the way to that mountain area, this is Narnia. Somebody asked him a question: why did that light post was there? Like, it's a magical land. Why is a light post there? And if I remember it correctly, with whatever I've read about C.S. Lewis, he added a story somewhere in the chronology. Somewhere he wrote and completely how that light post came there, which means it never was in his mind initially. Same thing, Tolkien, right? When he wrote the book The Hobbit, in which in a just normal part he just gives a ring, the ring which was held by obviously Gollum for many 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 years, which ultimately comes into the hand of the Hobbit, right? Bilbo. And when Bilbo gets it, he's like, obviously he gets it, he kind of understands it. But there is no point in the Hobbit book about any of the other stuff which we have seen in the Lord of the Rings. And then one fine day, he said, you know what? Interesting. Why did that ring come there? And author, right? Like the author said, let me write a story on this. And he wrote the Lord of the Rings. Can you imagine? Hobbit is a children's book. One line, one point about a ring, and then he wrote an opus called The Lord of the Rings to explain that ring. Now imagine how it actually is done in Freemasonry then. Oh, there is something there. Oh, let me talk about an order for you so that you can understand how that happens.
It reminds me of one very weird situation when I was giving IELTS exam and we are supposed to write an essay, right? So we got a topic and then I was writing on that. And then when I finished, I read the whole thing again. I was like, I can write something on this just as a branch of maybe in my free time or something. So I know where these guys are coming from. But
just imagine, right? If those
yeah.
guys are doing it, that means it was always there. As a human tendency, right? You are going to always want to explain it. You cannot just leave it. It's unlike some silly folks who will just like, oh, let it be. Who cares what is happening? If you see any B grade and C grade movie, there is no continuity to it, right? Because it is not made to it. Like it's okay just to make it so that the money comes and money goes inside. But if you actually want to make a masterpiece, you need that continuity. Even if you are not given it here, somewhere it will be there.
And the other way of looking at this is also that we are trying to what are we trying to do in masonry essentially, right? We are using, again, we have to think about the origins of masonry. It's a very ancient origin. This is coming out of literally big biblical times, right? It's just that in the modern times we said that okay, 1700s we can say that okay, it's formalized and all of that story, and then we say okay, 300
That's the
years of masonry.
organization wise, I would say.
Yeah,
That's just the
that's
organization
yeah,
and
that's
coming
more from
together.
the but the idea of masonry or the practice of masonry has been going on for millennia.
Yes.
The only thing that's happening through all these stories and these legends is to pick out lessons of life, package it in a way which people will understand and
That's true.
sort of emulate. And
Yes.
the way of imparting that knowledge is not through lectures, but in a very involved ceremony of sorts.
True.
So you
True.
not only hear things, you also see things, right? So your all senses are involved essentially. So it's not so much of whether these things are real or true or facts. It's more on the lines of have you understood the essence of what is happening here?
Yes.
And we are just trying to break up the entire thing in a way where you can sort of make those connections. So any listener who is a master mason, will be able to sort of look forward to what more is there in masonry through these different
Yes,
degrees. And that is what we're trying to encourage here as well. Masonry
absolutely.
is not you being a frog in a well, it's about you being the frog that leaps out of that well and discovers that there's a whole world around it, right? So come out of your oasis, explore what else masonry has to offer. And before I go too long into it, in closing, Rinesh, anything you want to conclude?
I feel, please don't stop the journey of understanding these things. Because once you start understanding some of these aspects, right, you will have more, what should I say, knowledge, or rather, will gather more knowledge about what exactly you're going through. It's very simple. Why all these stories matter? That stories actually have something. And by the way, you, even if you're not able to attend, if you're not able to, like, oh, wow, oh my goodness, I'm actually part of something completely different. I'm not able to be part of this one. Who is stopping you from talking about it? Who is stopping you from reaching out to others and asking them about it? Right? I Yesterday I was actually in an alumni meet of my university, and the amount of information, the amount of what should I say, the knowledge which was being shared with each other. Right? I met somebody who has his own production company handling certain access machines which they have. They have he's working on some turnkey projects about it. I also met somebody who is actually into a bit of a compliance piece with regards to working with finance companies and trying to figure out how Shishir is actually typing his passwords. Is it going to be quick? Is it going to be this? He's actually building a market for that. He's not, sorry, he's not building a market for, he's looking for a market for that, to say that tomorrow, if I actually give this to your company, if I give this to your agency, what will actually happen? Okay, similarly, I met somebody who actually is into stabilize this company, and they are trying to figure out how they actually come out of that whole system, because right now it's manual, how they will go into the ERP system. The knowledge which was being shared in that group, I don't think I got that knowledge. I was able to even listen even 1 or 2% of it in my last 6 months. Why couldn't I leave? Because I didn't meet these guys. It's simple, right? As you said, I would have been a frog in the pond. I was actually a frog in the pond. The moment I started networking with them, or rather, forget the networking. Networking is a very silly word sometimes, I feel. Everybody thinks networking means I'm going to get something out of it. But here, it was more like, what am I actually listening and learning from these guys? When I stood in front of them and they were giving their ideas, they were telling me about their pointers on how they work, how they form. I was like, dude, I've got ideas now. I'm pumped up. I came back and I'm like, okay, this is my plan for the day. I would like to do this in the next 1 week, next 2 weeks, or maybe after Diwali, I'm going to make sure that I do this. Why? Because of that exchange of ideas. So masonry is not going to be stopped by somebody coming up and telling us, oh, let's do this. Let's don't worry about others. No. Masonry should, and you as our listeners, as our viewers, I request you to go and ask that question, to reach out to these other folks. Reach out to us. If you don't know whom to, reach out to us. We know folks. I don't know everybody, but I know somebody. And that somebody will know somebody. That's the network which is required to talk to them, to learn from them, meet them over a cup of coffee, meet them over a cup of tea, meet them over a cup of beer. What is there? So not a cup of beer. What do you have? A pint, right? A pint of beer. What am I talking? A pint of beer. It's too early in the morning, right, Shishir,
You
for me?
could have beer in a cup if you're
If you want to, right?
feeling
Yeah,
like
I
it.
get
Who's stopping you?
that.
I've
Yeah.
seen a guy put ice in beer and drink, so
So,
I've seen it
okay,
all, I
fair enough.
guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, you will pint of beer. Meet them, talk to them, learn from them. Nothing should ever stop that learning curve.
Very well said, Rinesh, and I completely agree on those lines as well. And I'll just say one line to this whole thing, and that's how I look at masonry. Masonry is a pursuit of knowledge. That is all there is to it. If you're in for meeting people and increasing your business, then there are various other groups that could be joined where that is the
That
primary
could be
purpose.
faster as well.
Yeah, masonry is not primarily for that. You know,
Not
it's
at all.
it's it's something much higher, and if you're into that kind of thing, there is no limit.
There's
No,
no limit.
people ask questions, seek the answers, and I'm sure you will enjoy this thing. So, with that, folks, I think we have come to an end to this awesome, series. We will be coming up with a lot more. I think we have said that quite a few times in this episode that there's a lot more to cover. There will always be a lot more to cover. I'm sure of it.
Oh, yeah.
So in the meantime, if there is any kind of feedback, bring it our way. If there is any request, any question, like Rinesh said, if you don't know whom to ask, you can ask us. We'll find people, we'll get you the answers. Right. So our email is there in the show notes. You can connect to us on Instagram, leave a comment on YouTube. It's all there. Reach out to us. We're happy to help. And with that, thanks again for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
That's all, folks. We sincerely hope that you liked our episode and got a glimpse into the fascinating world of Freemasonry. If you have any queries about what we have shared on the podcast or about Freemasonry in general, please check out the show notes for links to the Grand Lodge of India's website or write us an email, which is the Ashlars podcast@gmail.com.